Toxic Masculinity.
Ex-CIA Director
Brennan
says he's increasingly embarrassed to be a white male.
That's
Here
right.
you go, Chris. You are completely going to be demonetized for this episode. Completely.
Yeah, ex-CIA Director Brennan says he's increasingly embarrassed to be a white male. Yeah. Oh, it's so embarrassing
It's
being
not
a white
embarrassing to be a white male. It's dangerous to be a white
male.
male.
That's true. All right, yeah, because he'll try to hunt you down. All right, well, let's go ahead and play this this clip and let's see what he has to say.
That's why we started with Katie Benner's great new reporting about the investigation into police officer. It renders, at best hypocritical, at worst cynical and false, any notion that the Republicans care about the lives and the safety of law enforcement.
Well, I must say, to Claire's point, I'm increasingly embarrassed to be a white male these days, and light of what I see of my other white males saying. But
So it's not even just Brennan saying this kind of nasty racist thing. The setup is also messed up. They're like, Republicans don't care about the lives of police officers.
Like, what?
Yeah, did you hear that? What the hell are you talking about, lady? Like, the stuff that MSNBC comes up with, and it's just completely mental. And for Brennan to say, I'm increasingly embarrassed to be a white male, you know what? Go the way of Rachel Dolezal. Just go ahead and be transracial now, Brennan, if you don't want to be a white male anymore. What a dick. What a dickish thing to say. Because I tell you what, I mean, it's just the way the left thinks, right? The way the left thinks is if I disagree with some white males, then all white males are bad, right? Let me tell you something. Most of Antifa is white males. I don't sit there and I don't look at Antifa and I go, oh, what a bunch of beta, cuck, degenerate pieces of crap. I'm so embarrassed to be a white male. I mean, give me a break. It's kind of the same thing I think about, like, IQ, right? There's all this, like, kerfuffle about race and IQ. Are we even allowed to talk about it? Blah, 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 blah. I actually am writing a book. I'm writing a book called White People Are Awesome. All the things you're not allowed to say. And one of the chapters is on race and IQ. And the reason I want to talk about it, in fact, it's the first chapter, and it's called Jews Are Smart. It's the first chapter. Jews are smart. And it's about how you're not even allowed to say Jews are smart. Because if you say Jews are smart, it implies that other groups are not smart, right? Because there's all these IQ tests that have been done with all the races, and some races have scored lower and some have scored higher. And the argument is that
IQ tests were created for white people.
Exactly. So the argument is that the tests are racist and that people are getting
tests are racist.
Right. Even though white people don't actually score the highest, it's Asians score the highest. Jews are at the top, then Asians, then whites, and then everybody else. But you're not allowed really to talk about that stuff, because if you do, then if you accept that the results of those tests are accurate, then, well, you're just a racist, right? But aren't we supposed to follow the science? I mean, the science, these are scientists doing these studies. These are researchers. But you're not allowed to talk about that kind of stuff because, people are super sensitive about that kind of thing. But look, we honestly, there's no real good reason in most circumstances, there's no real good reason to talk about entire racial groups. Anyway, you should really be talking about individuals. And this idea that, oh, well, I don't like some of the people in this group, so that they're all bad. I mean, that is like textbook racism. That's terrible. I mean, Brennan's just an a-hole, I think, at this point. I mean, I actually think that to some degree, he's playing up these ideas based on what he thinks that his audience wants to hear, right? I don't even think he believes this stuff. I think he's just saying what he thinks people want to hear, and that's it. I don't even know why I brought up the race and IQ thing. I got lost. Were you following it? I wasn't following. But anyway, yeah. I can't.
Being smart is racist.
Being smart is racist. Well, it's the whole thing is just a messed up whole situation that we have, because look, I think we need to be able to talk intelligently about every different group of people as they are. Oh, this is why I brought it up. Because even if you are of the lowest, IQ race, and I won't say it. I won't say it because I know people will get like freaked out about it because people are all emotional about that kind of thing. But even if you're of the lowest IQ race, I say, if you're smart, why do you care? I mean, even if you're an idiot, why do you care? I mean, at least you could just blame it on my race. Well, I'm just stupid because I'm of this race or something. Like, I'm white, right? And white people, I'm fully white. You can look at my ancestry test. I'm just German, basically. And a little bit Scottish, but mostly German. And if you look at, you know, the average IQ of white Europeans is, I think, like what, like 110 now or something like that. But my IQ is quite a bit higher than that. I've taken IQ tests. And so I don't sit there and go, oh, it's not fair. It's not fair that Asians have a higher IQ than white people. I don't care. I'm fine with it. You know why? Because my IQ is higher than most Asians. So I'm fine. Like, I don't actually, it doesn't really matter what your individual or what your group's IQ is. It's what your individual IQ that matters. It doesn't matter how nice people are in your group. It matters about how nice you are as a person. You should care. So, like, if anything, I should say, you know, if I'm of a low performing group, IQ group, and I perform very high, I should be like, hey, that makes me even better, right? I perform better than the average, right? And so that's kind of how I've always looked at that. Like, you should just appreciate that you're not dumb. You know, Brennan is sitting here saying that it's bad to be white. Look, I realize there's some real idiotic white people. You know, they're the people in Antifa. They're former you know, heads of the CIA, people like that. Really, really dumb people. Really dumb people. I realize that they come from the same gene pool as I do. I realize that we're the same race. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. You know what? There's some dumb people in my own family. not my immediate family, more like, you know, distant relatives. But she's looking at me like I'm crazy. But I'm okay with that. It's okay to have a couple of dumb people in your family. It's okay to, you know, have a couple of you know, and I'll tell you, some people in my family, this is going to be hard for me to admit, but they're Democrats. It's sad, I know. Shed a tear for me. Anyways, this is Valeria being sad. Being sad
Not
for me.
anymore.
She was. She flipped back, but look, you know, just don't let yourself be defined by the attributes of your group, right? Whether that be your family or your race or your country or your culture. If there's some bad aspects to your culture or to your race or to your family, transcend those things. Be better than that. That's all I have to say about that. You know, you could go ahead and try to fix it. You know, if you want those people to be better, great, do that. But don't sit there and go, oh, you guys are all trash. That's a terrible thing to say. That's awful. Brennan, if he thinks that white men generally are worse than other groups, just transcend that. But don't talk crap about white people. Don't talk crap about white men. Jeez, like, have a little bit of respect for people. I mean, to me, at the end of the day, this is just racist nonsense. And this guy is a horrible person. I don't know why he has a platform on television. I don't know why he was ever allowed to be in charge of anything.
Well, if he hates being white, he has to become something like Rachel Levine. So, and consider himself a woman.
He could become a white woman. Yeah. I think Brennan should become trans. I love that. Valeria comes through with the answer. Nice.
That is a solution. Here you go.
All right, breaking news, everybody.
Buy some nail polish, lipstick.
Yeah. Breaking news, John Brennan is becoming trans because he hates being a white male.
I wonder if he's actually going to do that.
No, he's not going to do that. But let's say that he is, because you know what? Why not? Fake news, right? All right, well, I think that we're done, yeah?
We are done.
All right, you want to take questions and comments?
We can take questions.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a
guys.
question or a comment, you want to comment on the news of the day, or you have a question for us, please do so.
Are we streaming on Facebook or not?
We are not streaming on Facebook. We're just on YouTube now. You were enjoying the Facebook
There was like
audience?
200 people watching us yesterday, and I got
yeah,
some
it's-
Russian people there fighting. It was like so fun to see.
Yeah, but you know
like
what?
one woman said, "Oh, Black Lives Matter came from Russia. This is a Russian group. This is a Russian insurrection or something like this. It's hilarious.
Well, I'll tell you what. The reason that I feel like we missed a story. Did we get them all? Yeah, I guess we got them all. The reason that I wanted to focus on YouTube is because my YouTube viewers, you're my favorite. No, that's not necessarily true. I just, but you guys are awesome. But no, there were some logistical reasons why I didn't want to stream on Facebook. Instead, we're going to go ahead and post these as individual videos as opposed to a full live stream.
Okay.
But it'll work out. Everybody will see it, but we just won't be able to see their comments and questions. But has anybody said anything interesting since we've been broadcasting? Let's see here. No?
Chaz asks, why is the Eye of
Sauron,
Sauron.
conservative white dudes? Why is the Eye of Sauron on conservative white dudes? Okay, so the Eye of Sauron, do you know what that means?
No.
Okay, so the Eye of Sauron is a reference to the Lord of the Rings.
Ah, okay.
And it's I think what he's saying is like, you know, big government, sort of like Big Brother is like targeting, you know, white dudes now. I'm guessing that's what he's saying. I guess the ire of evil. It's a good question. My guess is that. Oh, we have okay, that's interesting. Sorry, I'm looking at my technical stuff. My guess is that it has something to do with the distribution of wealth, right? There is always this idea of we need to redistribute wealth to, the people who have less or whatever. And you have these different special interest groups. There's no real special interest group for poor white people, but there's special interest for poor other groups. And so they'll say, oh, we want more power, we want more money, whatever. So they need an enemy. And so the people with probably the most power and money in America are white people, just by sheer numbers, or there's just a lot of us. If you take it by percentage of population, per capita income, definitely Asians have the most. Jewish people, Asians, they do better than white people, just ordinary Christian white people. But because we have so many of us, there's a lot of well-off, relatively wealthy white people in America, and they want to take our money, and it's just a way of taking money from rich people and giving it to people who may be down on their luck, but maybe they're not as well educated, or they're not, there's lots of reasons why people are poor. But there's always going to be groups that are trying to find ways of scamming money off other people. We have a pretty good country. We have a country that offers opportunities for most people most of the time when they need to improve their lives. If they work hard and they really have a desire to do so. Any more questions? Any more comments?
RMF. Why are you guys still in LA? Seems like the worst possible place to be at the moment. It's literally
you wanna take that one, darling?
Beast. Huh?
We've been asked this before. Do you want to take this one?
Well, I mean, we can leave LA soon, but not yet.
There's a variety of reasons we're here, but the main reason, I think, is because Valeria has a job in Hollywood and she likes it, and we can't really do that job anywhere else.
I can't give up this job. I just still in immigration process.
Yeah, we will.
I have to be here.
Yeah, we are going through an immigration process that's going through the courts here in Los Angeles. So if we move, it would be a little bit more difficult for us. So we're sort of waiting until that goes through. And then once that's done, then we will actually seriously consider moving. We've been traveling a little bit, and specifically to try to find other places to move to, actually. And we found places that we like. But the place that we found that we like the most is actually Hawaii. But Larry doesn't want to actually move to Hawaii, which I don't know why. I'm like, let's do it. We can move anywhere we want, really. I just do YouTube. Nope, you don't. Why don't you like Hawaii?
I like it as a vacation place, but I don't want to live there.
Yeah.
I more like city life.
Well, Honolulu has a bit of a city. All right, more questions? Anything else?
Same question. Why do you live in California?
Yeah.
Well,
this guy writes, why does Alyssa Milano know so much about Nazis? That's pretty funny. they're referencing the fact that the stage at CPAC was apparently a Nazi symbol. It was like a Nordic rune that was apparently used as a Nazi symbol. But they've actually recently found out that the company that was hired to actually build the stage, design and build the stage, was a leftist, were a bunch of leftists, like a bunch of Democrats. And I've talked about this before, and I actually had this thought, but I didn't say it on the show last time. I was like, I should have made the prediction because it would have been nice and validating. But I had this thought before when they kept pointing out different things in Trump's like campaign ads and stuff that they were saying were symbols of Nazism and stuff like that. I'm like, a lot of these ads, a lot of these things are done by leftist graphic designers. And you hire a graphic designer, he's almost always going to be a leftist. So if you have a graphic designer who's a leftist and he knows a little bit about Nazi propaganda, he may go ahead and put some of that Nazi propaganda in your right-wing stuff. You got to be careful about that, just to make you look bad. You know, no. Okay, if Donald Trump was a white supremacist, he's not going to put overtly racist symbolism in his ads, right? Because he knows that's not going to get him elected. So he would put he wouldn't put anything in his ads, and it would just like he would pretend not to be a white supremacist. This idea that there's these dog whistles and there's this encoded language and all this kind of stuff, it's such absolute just nonsense. I do think leftists do that. They will put in little coded language. They'll do these little dog whistles in certain instances to let people know this is what we're thinking. You know, the people on the right won't get it, but you will because they think we're idiots. You know, and so because they do it, they think we do it, but we don't. So then it turned out that a bunch of leftists were working at this company that designed the stage and built it, and at CPAC, the one that was supposedly a Nazi symbol. But I don't think in this particular instance that it was actually done intentionally to make them look bad. I think that they had designed the stage that way because it was the best design for what they needed. Right? It was essentially a circle with these like two things coming off of it, and there was just nothing Nazi about it. There was nothing racist. It was just absolute silliness. Anything else?
Come to Texas, we have dirt.
We have dirt. That's a funny thing to try to get people to come to Texas via.
I don't mind Texas.
Yeah, we've been to Texas. We quite like Texas, actually.
Tracy, what time did you guys start? I thought you were starting at 10 p.m. East from now on.
We tried to switch to 10 p.m. Eastern, but we lost about half our audience, so we decided to switch back. So we're doing 6 Pacific and we're doing 9 Eastern. We're just going to keep with that. That seems to be working okay. Some people are annoyed, but Mark in Alberta thinks that the stage was a setup. You know, it is a possibility. I mean, there is a strong possibility, but I like to give people the benefit of the doubt and just say that was a design that they liked. I mean, it was such an obscure Nazi symbol that it was very unlikely that anybody even knew about that. I mean, somebody knew about it who would research this stuff, and they pointed it out. Anonymous says that in Texas we have cows too. He says
that's how you read Anonymous. Yeah. I was like Anon Moose.
Anonymous. Yeah, it's a clever screen name. Iru-san writes, "What's Valerie doing in Hollywood? Modeling, acting, gaffer."
Gaffer. What's the gaffer?
Huh?
What's the gaffer?
Gaffer is the guy that sets up the lights.
Like grips?
Yeah, kind of like a grip. But he's more of like he's more of like an electrician. He's more of an electrician. He's a very highly trained. It's an electrician. He sets up the lights that way. He doesn't actually. The grips move stuff. The gaffer sets up the electrical stuff. She's smart. She probably writes. You want to talk about what you do in Hollywood? Nope. Okay. Let's see here. John Wilson says, would love to hear how Chris and Valeria met. Again, people always want to hear about this. Why don't you do it this time? I did it last time.
Okay, we met doing being extras in one of the TV show sets.
No, it was a movie. It was a made-for-TV
was it
movie.
A movie.
But it was, like 3 years ago or something like that?
Well, it was in 2017.
It was a terrible movie.
I do not know.
We never actually watched it, but it seemed like I actually knew the guy who was starring in the movie, so we were doing background work, right? Which is where you're like just walking around in the background. It was actually a party scene, right? It was a party scene, and I knew the guy that was starring in the movie, which is really weird. I'd worked with him as an actor, and he's like, "Why are you doing background? You're a real actor." I'm like, "I'm not famous like you are." so that was a little bit embarrassing. But then Valerie didn't speak English particularly well, but and she looked really young. Actually, when I first met her, I thought she was older because she was in the scene with the actress, and she looked like she was maybe 26, 27, and I was 36 at the time, so that was already a bit young. But the girl that I was dating at the time was 26, so it was fine. I didn't think too much about it. But then when I got up close to her and we started talking, I'm like, oh, this girl's a lot younger than 26. Like, I don't think this is going to happen. So I eventually kind of just realized, well, this isn't going to work. She's too young. And we exchanged Instagrams just to be nice or whatever. And then, one thing led to another. But there was 2 charming moments when we met, maybe 3. At one point, because the girl that I was dating at the time liked to go to parties because she wanted to be a model. She was trying to be a model, so she was trying to get herself out there. She had a twin sister, and they would go out all the time and try to meet people and meet producers and stuff. And I was complaining about this to Valeria when I met her, and I was like, Valeria said, "Oh, I don't like parties. I don't like clubs. I never go to that stuff." And I was like, I need a girl like that, right? And then she didn't say anything to me at the time, but apparently she thought in her head, well, why don't you just take me? Or something like that, right? Yes. And then another thing that I said, what was the other thing that I said? Do you remember? What was the other thing that I said that you liked? I remember. Some guy who was also like very good looking guy. He was actually starring in the movie as well. He had like lines and stuff. He was a legit actor. We had to work pretty closely with this guy. So the 3 of us were hanging out together. And at one point he said something that was quite funny. It was a pretty good joke actually. And we all 3 laughed. We all had a pretty good laugh. And then I noticed that Valeria was laughing pretty hard at this guy. So I grabbed her and I pulled her up against me and I go, "Back off, she's mine."
Well, if that would happen right now, I could accuse you of sexual harassment because
Yes,
you're
that's
not
true.
allowed to touch me without my permission.
But anyway, apparently Valeria really liked that I'd grabbed her and said, "Back off, she's mine." It was a joke, but it was, to some degree, I liked her. So she thought that was pretty funny, and you like that, correct? Okay. And then I gave you my coat because you were cold. So I gave you my coat. And we still have that coat to this very day. Anyway, so that's the story of how Chris and Valeria met. If you want a girl to marry you, tell her that you need a girl more like her, and then tell the next guy in line, "Back off, she's mine," and then give her your coat when she's cold. Those are your 3.
But
your
don't
3 tips.
don't say thing like what you said it. The first thing you told me.
Oh yeah, the first.
Oh,
thing.
your shoes. My girlfriend have similar shoes like that.
Yes.
Never
No,
say.
but that's not
Never
actually.
say it to a girl because
She's wrong. She's wrong, and I'll tell you why she's wrong.
I was like, man, if you're trying to get me, that's a wrong thing to say.
No, that is not what you thought, and I'll tell you what. Because you had a boyfriend at the time.
Yes.
So me telling you that made you think that I was maybe not trying to get with you, which I think was a good strategy. No? Yes? No?
Well, it depends on the girl. I don't know.
So in your case, you say you think it was the wrong thing to say. The wrong opening. Yeah, the first thing I said to her was mentioning my girlfriend.
Well, maybe it's a good thing because if you're saying I have a girlfriend,
Yes.
that means, oh, he's not
Yes.
trying to get with me.
You get it. You get it. Valeria gets it, guys. Okay, so she finally figured out why I said that when I met her. All right, so anyway, so that's what you do. You start out by pretending you're not interested. Then you tell her you need a girlfriend like her. Then you tell the next guy in line, "Back off, she's mine." Then you give her your coat. That'll get you a wife. Those are the rules. All right, Nick, anything else? How old is Valeria again? William Merchant says. How old are you now?
25.
25. She was 20 when I met her, actually, and I was 36. There's a little too big of an age difference, but it worked out. Market Alberta says that story included toxically masculine incentives. RMF says somebody arrest this man. I'll tell you what. You know what's funny, guys? Before I met her, I was dating a girl who was 26, so she was already 10 years younger than me, which is quite a lot. And then the girl before that I was hanging out with, we didn't end up getting together, but we were going to start dating before I met this other girl. She was 35 and I was 34. The girl before that, so I really went. It was really weird. It was like I went from a girl who was 35 to a girl that was 26 to a girl that was 20 in the course of like 2 years or year and a half or something like that. It was weird. I was not trying to get with a girl that was 20. That was not in any way, shape, or form my intention. I actually thought my ex was too young for me. And then I met you, and I'm like, this is not happening. It was a very strange thing for me. I was very uncomfortable with it, which you can attest to. When we got together, I was a bit uncomfortable with the fact that you were so much younger than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all I need to say.
Yeah, that's all you need to say. Well, you clearly didn't understand what I was trying to say there. All right, so Tyler Hefner says, dang, Valeria is hot. True. Jesus is God wrote pervert and then laughed, laughy face
Pervert.
A bunch of times. Don't call yourself Jesus is God and then make jokes like that. That's terrible. Let's see here. Kimberly Ashcroft writes, I left my ex at the altar to be with my current husband, who's 13 years older than me. Older men rock. That is hilarious. I feel really bad for that guy that you left at the altar. Oh my gosh. Carrie Ann says, he said he was 32, LOL, and I thought that was too young. 32, oh, you're the guy that you're with. Okay. Well, not me, because I was 36 when we met. Let's see here. RMF says, Chris, half your age plus 7 is the baseline. That's the formula. So when I was 36, half my age would have been 18. So you were within that range. Plus 7? Oh yeah, you were well within that range. Tyler Hefner writes, I swear if he put her on camera, his viewership would go up tenfold. She's on camera. What are you talking about?
That's why there is not 88 people, or 102.
There's 101. That's right. Let's see. Yeah, I've just kept on you the whole time. Let's see here. Tracy Rush writes, one of the things we love about British programming is that they use regular-looking actors. Their shows and movies are more realistic, like police women wearing flats versus CSI Miami with spiked heels. Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, in certain circumstances, I do think that ordinary people are way better than like the beautiful, glamorous thing. I don't think in the case of like a cheerleader that's true, but in the case of like a detective show, I think that definitely is true. You want to add realism. Like Rocky did a good job of that, right? Like Sylvester Stallone, not the best looking guy in the world. The woman who plays his wife, Adrian. She's even got an ugly name, Adrian, for a woman. It's not a pretty name. The whole atmosphere was kind of ugly. It was kind of like, you know.
You like to say word ugly.
Huh?
You like to say word ugly. You.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of those words that people are afraid to say. But I think that we should not hide from the realities of the world. Like, you need to be able to talk about stuff openly in order to realize brutal truths. And yeah, but a movie like Rocky would not have been as good if everybody in that movie was like super beautiful or super handsome. I think the way it is better. So yeah, Tracy Rush is absolutely right. There's a place and a time for beautiful people and ugly people, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that the left wants to take every instance of beautiful people and say that shouldn't exist. We need to replace that with, you know, average looking people or ugly people. I think that's terrible. It's just what embittered people do a lot, I think. Binary Recoil writes, if you want a girl to marry you, be more attractive than me. I don't think looks matter as much to women as they do to guys. Guys are pretty sensitive about looks, but girls you can. I used to I went through a phase where I asked every single girl that I dated to list off her priorities in dating men, and none of them put looks first. It was almost always, so I give them 5 categories: looks, intelligence, charisma, like charm, funniness, that kind of stuff. What was the other one? Ethics and like morality, and then wealth, how successful they were. And every single girl said that either guys who are smart or guys who are charming, that was their number one pick. That was the number one things that they looked for in a guy. And then after that was probably looks. But the thing is, I do think girls put wealth a little bit higher than they admit.
Well, for me, 2 main things, and don't beat me, and don't force me to cook.
Don't beat you and don't force you to cook. Well, why are you with me? No, I don't force her to cook. I'll say that. That was a joke to suggest that I beat you.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you got it. You just didn't think it was funny. Okay. Well, fine. Fine. They're not all winners, guys. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Anything else? Anything coming? You ready to hang up? What? What?
I think we should end the show. 7:13.
Oh, it's 7:13. Okay.
7:13.
Well, thank you for
I just
letting
realized
us...
that 7:13. I was like, seems long.
Well, thank you guys for sticking with us for the entire hour and 17 minutes. We love you all. You guys are all
14.
fantastic. And we would like to say that I'm toxic, she's masculine, and together we are toxic masculinity. You know, we don't have to say it at the same time. That is so corny. That is so lame. Okay, well, I'll finish the show on Valerie's beautiful face, and so you don't have to look at my ugly mug. And you guys have a good night, and we will see you tomorrow.
Good night.
Toxic Masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.